Welcome to the Hippo Pod, a podcast by Golden Hippo, an employee-owned, vertically integrated builder of some of America's most popular health and wellness brands. In this podcast, we spotlight the driving force behind our company's success, our exceptional team of hippos. Through candid conversations, our hippos will share their personal journeys, the lessons they've learned, and the Golden Hippo values they embody. This podcast is a space for them to reflect, inspire, and to share their knowledge with future hippos. So whether you're on your morning commute, taking a jog, drinking a cup of coffee, or maybe even applying to one of our positions, we invite you to join us on this journey of discovery. Listen in and be inspired by the stories that shape our unique and inspiring culture. Welcome to the Golden Hippo podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. Happy to be here.
Of course. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule. I know you're working on lots of different things. So we can just go ahead and just jump right in, because right before hitting record, we were talking through a lot of stuff, and I want to make sure we capture all that. So just walk me through who Christian is. How long have you worked at Golden Hippo? What's your job title? What team are you on?
Oh man, getting very philosophical being asking who I am. My name's Christian. I worked here just over 5 years. My Hippoversary was just last month, actually a month to the day ago, which is pretty great. It's been a wild 5 years. I'm a senior video editor for storytelling. I originally was on video team until about a year and a half ago. Love both teams very much. They're amazing. And kind of what I do is I video edit most of the ads, like, social media, VSLs, short ads, anything for Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, but I've also kind of taken on different hats as well. Like 2 weeks into being at Hippo, my manager at the time, Jason, asked me, it came up in conversation that I did audio. So suddenly for about 2 years after that, I became the audio recorder for anybody coming in, which was not originally what I was doing. And I had never done audio professionally. It just was a hobby that I graduated with, like, hey, you've done audio before, so why not? And I started living in that booth, basically. I now do the AI work. I do all the fancy fake AI voices that we generate. Those are all my little mastermind creations. So yeah, a lot of hats, because if you're just doing one thing, I might get a little bored. Got to mix it up.
Well, it doesn't sound boring now. Sounds like
no, it sounds very busy, honestly. You would not tell from the amount I was talking. I joined Hippo as a massive introvert, or I always said that I was like an introvert and extrovert because I really wanted to be outgoing, but I couldn't do it. And because this is such a collaborative environment, I was kind of forced by trial of fire to interact more. But it kind of helped that my manager also was a very similar personality to me when I first joined, and he kind of talked me through. And we also had a mentorship program where I got Spencer, I believe, and my main goal when I joined in with him was to be like, hey, I'm happy with because the whole point of the mentoring system is to work on your personal improvement for your career as well. And I went in being like, I want to manage eventually. I want to have my own team, but I can't do that if I'm too terrified to talk to my team members. Can you help me with that? And it was a couple very casual meetings where he would encourage me to hey, do public speaking for Hippo a lot. So I started presenting during the company meetings. I started presenting during our department meetings. I gave myself homework, to say the least, to start presenting. And now I honestly adore public speaking. I've come out of the shell basically since then. And so I don't know, my wife cracks up about it because she's like, you're so much more. And she's like, I don't know how you like to talk. I was like, It's amazing. It's nice to be able to interact. And I realize I talk now almost to a too much degree.
Well, it's perfect for a podcast. And I love to hear that. That's amazing. The fact that you were able to break that barrier during your time at Golden Hippo. Because I was going to say 5 years is a long time. And I mean, 5 years. Yeah, it's been a while, but I was going to say you're all over the place now. You're in our Tuesday meetings. You're presenting one of the weeks. I wouldn't have known that you really struggled with that.
Oh yeah, no, it was one of the biggest issues, honestly, joining in, because I would not want to talk with because I didn't want to talk with team members as well. I wouldn't want to. One of the big things that now is you collaborate, you ask hey, how did you make this thing, or how did you work on this? I would not want to do that. I'd keep to myself. They were just it was a big gap for my work because I couldn't improve by not wanting to talk to people. And now it's night and day, honestly. That's why I honestly always encourage people to go out of your shell a little bit, go out of your comfort zone, because you can only improve by
Yeah.
interacting just a bit more. And the person sitting next to you is probably just as terrified to talk to someone new. Most people are nervous about talking to new people or interacting with new people. And it's like the number one fear is like public speaking. So you can only be as scared as they are talking to you. So why worry about it? Just, say what's on your mind kind of thing. Like, why
Yeah.
worry?
Yeah. And maybe we can do like a little mini announcement now, but this is a soft launch, but we are restarting the mentorship program at Golden Hippo.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
It was life changing. I did it twice actually, and it was life changing both times.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Spencer was your first mentor. Who was your second?
I had Allison as my second one, and that one was specifically catered to management development. And like work fulfillment. And it was and that actually also was another big change for it, because one of her big things was before you start managing, she had me like sit down and do like this analysis of like how fulfilled I felt with my work.
Whoa.
And it was tough. It was like where you pick cards, like what's important to you. And my manager had shifted at the time to Lena, who also has been an incredible mentor all these years. I reached out to her and I was like, hey, this is how I'm feeling. And since then, I now have a growing team underneath me. And so that mentorship program honestly ended with me going from a point where I was like it wasn't Hippo that was leading to it. It was my own kind of choices that led to me feeling more like less satisfied with my work. And Hippo kind of helped me realize, hey, this is how you can be more satisfied. And now I'm at like probably the happiest I've ever been in a job.
Oh,
like,
I love
period.
that.
And this is from someone who bounced from like freelancing gigs from college. So like I did a bunch of different companies, and like this is just super fulfilling because it's encouraged to be like, do what you feel happy about here. And I was just, whenever I have those like skip meetings where they're like, how happy or satisfied are you with? It's like, I'm actually really happy. Like I used to be like, I'm doing good. Like, but like, how like good is, you get to a point sometimes, but like, yeah, I wouldn't think that 5 years into a job, I'd still be excited to wake up in the morning and work on a new project. Honestly, like every single day, I'm like, I can't wait to see what project I get to pull out.
I love this. Oh, wow. That's so amazing to hear. And I think so. Haley and I are on the employer branding side of things, and it's like our job to share these stories and share the company values. But that's why it's so important for us to connect with like actual hippos who living and breathing these stories. It's not just us putting out like, we believe in professional growth. Come join us.
Yeah.
Like, it's actually happening. Like your story. Look at you. You were like a butterfly.
Yeah, honestly, it feels like I said, it's been life changing. The support structure. I've made amazing friends here. I've had some of them some of them attended my wedding for it. And the department put together like an amazing like wedding gift for me, like all got together for it. Like it's a knife set that I use to this day every time I cook. Like it doesn't just affect your career. I've made so many changes and improvements on just like myself as a person, and made great friends because of it, that honestly like Hippo was life saving and life changing for me. It came at the perfect time, both for like family, personal life, and just professional. Like I was getting to the point where like I could not keep doing freelancing. Selling yourself as a freelancer was getting so rough that shifting to something with stability, that in the time that I've been here, I've been able to get an apartment complex, able to move out and join my girlfriend at the time. I got engaged shortly after working there. I've been able to afford getting married and now buying a house, all because Hippo literally changed how much confidence I had to be able to like, hey, pursue your dreams in it. And I could not imagine having done that at another company.
We can probably just end the podcast here. Like, I don't have any other questions. This is wow. I have chills. What a story.
I appreciate that. I honestly, it's I don't know. It's funny saying that it's like a big motivation, but it's seeing it in real time. Yeah, I've said thanks to so many of my managers and coworkers over the years, because it's just amazing.
Yeah. So. Okay. Well, so that was one of my later questions, but let's just do that now, because you've already mentioned some first names. So, is there a mentor or a leader in your career that's I mean, obviously it sounds like there is. But
Yes.
is there anyone else that you'd like to give a little shout out to, or maybe elaborate on how they positively impacted you?
I mean, honestly, everyone, like, this is a bit of a cop out for it, but like, honestly, everyone I interact with at Hippo is such a talent that I wouldn't be where I'm at without it. Like I said, I mentioned obviously, like, Jason has like set the foundation of that's like, hey, be cautious, be very to the point of like watching your projects, but also being proud of your work. Like, all his early like onboarding hit me very, very strongly, so that it's affected me to this day of like how I want to onboard myself, as well as making sure that I always check myself for like how I'm working. Like, hey, reminder of the fundamentals. Lena started off as my friend at the company, and then when she skyrocketed up and I became lucky enough to join her team, she was kind enough to be like, hey, I want to be peers, not just manager and like direct report, which was like the sweetest thing. And she's kind of been the blueprint for how I want to manage myself, because she goes to bat for every person under her. Like, she will fight to the ends of the earth to make sure that whoever's working under her gets like the light that they deserve and the support that they deserve to do a project. That, like, again, I wouldn't do like have to be able to do like half the projects or have the company do half the projects if she was not like saying, hey, yeah, go for it kind of thing.
That's a leader. Jeez.
And yeah, honestly, and she would never say it. I'm sure like the day she hears this, she's gonna be like, oh no, she's the kindest person for it, and will go to bat for anyone if she wants to for it. And obviously my two mentors, Spencer and Allison, like, were amazing. But honestly, friends that I've met here got me through the hardest. Obviously, because we like also hit work from home, like the lockdown while it was here. I remember the day like one of our department heads come in and be like, it'll be a week and we'll see each other next Wednesday. Wild. And it wasn't so much that, and it was rough. I mean, we all know. And if it weren't for the friends that were here and the coworkers that were here, I honestly could not have imagined working through it. So I don't know, a shout out, I guess, to the Hippo family, but especially obviously those mentors I got and pointed out.
Yeah. Oh, this makes my heart warm. So you mentioned working remotely. Are you remote all the time, or do you come in some days?
So a good chunk of my time I'm remote. I do swing into the office. I try to swing in on Tuesdays when like the big meeting happens and the catered food. For big events as well, when people are kind of like coming down for one of the happy hours, or there's a big shoot going on, which I'll come in a lot of time for. Most of the time I come in out for shoots, or like I need to record something or assist with something, or I'm training somebody, or I'm meeting up with a Hippo buddy for something. So most of the time I'll swing in when there's something big for it, but most of the time I'm working remote, as is most of our team, because usually I can just kind of wake up, walk to my office, and just turn my computer on. And my computer at this point has been upgraded enough to be able to pull the workforce of the work systems that we had at the office and just knock out a full day of editing and then force myself and make sure I step out of the office when the day's over, so that I don't fall into the trap of it's very easy to keep working when you work from home.
Isn't that something? I mean, okay, it's been 3 years since we've gone remote hybrid, and I'm still trying to figure that out. Like 5:30 ish, like find like a good time when like I'm done for the day, close laptop, leave room. Like it's a struggle, because I'm just like, I can just keep going. If I keep going, it's less tomorrow. That's not the case. Yeah, it's like, okay, I need to, and there's some days where I'm like, have I been outside? I don't know if I've been outside today.
Yeah, so that's definitely, so I kind of tried to bring my freelancing kind of rules over, but because actually not even bringing the rules over, I brought over what I was doing with freelancing as the don't do this. Because I would work back when I freelanced, I'd be working. I was on call 24/7. I was at Disneyland for my sister's like birthday, and I got a message from a client, and I left and went into the parking lot to work on a laptop, and went back into the park after. And I like, to this day, she gives me grief for it. Lovingly, of course, but like, that's not how you do it. Obviously, you have to be able to take time away from work. You have to be able to step away, and Hippo's kind enough where it recognizes you have to have that work-life balance. The big thing was making sure my work system isn't in like the bedroom or anywhere that I'll be going after work, because that's how it used to be for when I worked freelance. My work system was right next to my bed, so I'd never be off. I could always just like easily just step out, walk over to work. So like, keeping the system away, making sure you have a schedule. I always make sure to also take like a walk in the afternoon, see the sunlight a little bit. I sometimes forget. I'm not saying I'm like the icon of perfect work life balance of like I will always step out, but also the sun is very bright, so I sometimes it's kind of nicer to stay inside. It's like I said, I'm always excited to keep working because I got into video editing initially because of it was a fun hobby, and then I found out, oh hey, I can make money from this.
Oh,
So it's like saying, hey, Chris, should stop doing your hobby for a little bit to like do something else. And it's like, well, what do I want to do? I want to do my hobby still. So it's still having that like rule of like, hey, make sure you step away, but keeping grounded enough to like know that you can like walk off and the projects will be there when you come back.
right.
And no one will really lecture you for it. Like they'll understand the work-life balance that like, hey, you need to step away and do this. Especially during the house setup, like I needed a bit more of an abnormal schedule, and so I was like, "Hey, my life is kind of more demanding than work right now. Can I kind of adapt?" And they were like perfectly willing to like adapt to what I kind of needed to get through. And I've seen the same thing for like people just dealing with family. Like honestly, yeah, for me in the beginning as well, because like I said, I had family struggles. The work-life balance then was like chaos. Life was demanding so much more of me, and the company was perfectly fine to like, hey, we'll adapt your hours or like what you need to help out. And like I said, also like personal development, like the company was like, hey, are you doing okay in your like day to day?
Right.
So like some of my one-on-ones with my manager became like you joked earlier, like therapy sessions. He sat down and was like, hey, you're doing good, right? Because you're like, we don't want you to be a machine. We want you to like come in and like work like you're good. And I was like, yeah, I'm good. No, this is helping. Thanks. So like we talked things through. So yeah, I guess the main thing is like knowing when to shut off and knowing where the cutoff kind of is, and not having it in your room.
Right. And it's like a personal thing too. Like when I was, saying it's very easy to just get caught up in it and just keep going. And it's like this is the first, I've mentioned this in another episode, but I'll say it again. This is the first company I've ever worked at where like I'm not getting blown up on Slack or email after work hours. It's laptop closes, you're done. So it's like a personal thing. It's like I just need to hold myself accountable. Like, okay, time management. I can stop at 5:30. I can pick this up tomorrow. If anything, I've noticed if I stay on too late and I'm still green on Slack, like my boss will be like, "What are you doing?"
Oh, I've gotten the same thing. I've gotten the same thing where I'll like respond to something because I open out of habit. Like, you know what I mean? When you open up like Twitter, Facebook, or Twitter, X, whatever, on your app, on your phone, I have Slack. So sometimes I'll like automatically, because during the day I'll check my Slack if I step away from my computer. If I catch myself doing that, I've had a coworker like at a different time zone where they're starting like later, like they're still going. They'll see my icon go green. They're like, "What are you doing?" It's like, fair enough. Sorry, forgot to do that. Or they'll see that I like responded at an odd time because like it would bug me too much. That's me failing the work-life balance of like, oh man, I responded because I felt like I would forget if I didn't respond right that second. Right. And they like. I've had like Len has been like, why did you respond? I was just like, it was at the time I saw it. Like that's a good point. I saw it and I just had to. But yeah, very, very encouraging to make sure that like the people are being people. Like they don't want just workers. They want people to work at the company. They don't want like just come in, clock in, and just shut up and do projects. Like the big thing, like I said, is collaboration. They want you to be. But they're hiring people first, which is a big thing for me. Like I wanted people to be. I love a company that's like very. It cares about the people that work there rather than it cares about the bottom line.
Right. Ooh, I'm getting some ideas for some new employer branding slogans. So good. Yeah. So, before we hit record, you were talking about the hiring panels that you're in. So, both the video editing production team and the storytelling team are hiring. So talk me through that a little. Do you have any advice for job seekers as you're sitting in these interviews?
So honestly, for when, at least for video editors, making sure that you send, if like the posting says like send samples, honestly, that will be the biggest boon for you is showing samples of it, because I love resumes, but after reading so many or going through so many, you start to go by, ooh, what's pretty? Is kind of what your eyes kind of break down. But honestly, for video editing, it's like if they're breaking down, hey, this is kind of I can learn best seeing what you've created. So even if you don't cut something new to show me, being able to see a reel helps me a ton. And and then just showing up during the interview and showing like, hey, I'm interested in something like that's stable, or like showing that there's interest rather than, oh man, look at this amazing thing that I like. Look at all these film festivals. It's like I don't want care of like the awards, like how amazing like awards you might have gotten. I want to know that you can like create still, and that there's a passion still. Because there's been people that like I'll be looking through, and it's like they're amazing backgrounds for it, but like speaking to them or like seeing some of the stuff, it's like you you don't have that passion that like I know that like you would be needing in your day to day. I'm sure that you would love it in other locations that are more corporate or like breakdown like factory styled editing, but it's like you need to have like that joy to like cut some of the stuff for video editing, and that's kind of, and also being like willing to like put yourself into what you create is kind of the big thing. And speaking as someone who freelanced and fought very hard to like get into a company, one big piece of advice is not to give up, honestly, and not to get down on yourself, because it's a tough market.
It is. It really is.
I've had plenty of friends laid off in the tech industry that have been like searching, and they're amazing workers, and it's tough to like keep applying and be like getting a no or getting not even an answer right away. And the toughest part, honestly, for me is like as someone hiring right now, is knowing that all these people are working. So like honestly, if I had my way, I'd be like, hey, let's completely create a whole new department to bring all these people in. But that means you're going to get no's. That means you're going to have to like go to the next place. That means you're going to have to improve. But that just doesn't mean that you're not good enough. It just means that the job that's out for you is the job that's out there for you. You haven't found it just yet. And honestly, I didn't get in Hippo the first time that I applied. Process, and I got rejected almost immediately because I was not very experienced. Then I applied again because I was like, screw that. I love this company. I love the culture. This is where I want to be. I want something stable. And then I got the call back for the interview, and I guess apparently did good enough during that, because I'm here 5 years later. If you do show up, don't do what I did and come up super dressed up in a suit and tie, apparently.
No,
the
you
company's
didn't.
company's very, I know. So my friend did not tell me how relaxed of a culture it was going in, and I showed up in a suit, a tie, all pressed and nice.
So precious. Oh, that's
Yeah,
really
showed up
sweet.
like that. Yeah, I heard from the hiring man or the interviewers afterwards that they thought that I just like come from Sears and like just pick something up, because they were like, you came so like cleaned and pressed, and you did not know anything about like how relaxed we are, huh? And I was like, I didn't know a thing. So research the culture a bit before applying.
Well, and so speaking of Golden Hippo's culture, you had like the perfect way of explaining it to a candidate.
Yeah.
So how would you explain it to someone?
I have been using the phrase, it is very corporate light, with a bit, it has a corporate support or corporate stability while having the startup attitude, because it has like the freedom of startup without the commitment of, hey, without you it doesn't start, so you need to commit your life and like your firstborn to be able to get the startup going. It's very corporate supporting, but it has the attitude of something that's like the cool older person, basically. Like it's got the support, but it's like the cool guy that's still at the party kind of thing.
Yes.
So
yeah, I always tell people it's startup energy, but we've been around for 10 plus years. Like that's
which
like
is mind blowing every time I hear it.
Yeah, we've been and you and I have been around for half of that, which is even more mind blowing to me.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah, very corporate light with a dash of startup for sure.
Yes,
which is very nice. It lets you transition very easily from like if you're starting up in a smaller company or you're freelancing prior. It kind of brings that attitude well, so you can mesh in while suddenly being like, oh, I don't need to worry about if my paycheck's going to come in next time, or if the company's going to be around here in a week. It's like, no, this company is going to be here for like, I could see like easily being able, like, you don't need to worry about retirement here kind of thing. Like even at our age, where it's like, hey, this place is going to be stable.
Yeah.
Because like it's been here for 10 years now, and it's not losing any steam. It's only picking up steam.
It is. We're only growing. Right?
Yeah, only growing. Yeah, exactly. That's why I commented. Like, we went from being able to have one side of the office, like one little row for storytelling when I started, to we can't fit everyone into the same location. We need a bigger spot now to fit all the storytellers. And that's just one department of growth
Right.
in the past 5 years.
Right. Oh, I love to hear it. Christian, I feel we're about at time. I feel like we could keep talking, but you covered so many important parts of your story, the growth. I didn't know you like went through such a transformation. So this is music to my ears. I love to hear it. I'm so happy for you.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Yeah, I guess if anybody, if you have, oh God, there it is. I started falling into the ending quote for like, I've done so many, I started doing like, if you have any questions, I was like, don't do that. I started falling into the interview thing. Yeah, too many interviews lately. I guess if you wanted to cover any questions, I like I said, I'm much more extroverted now, so I'm perfectly fine talking your ear off if there's anything more. Otherwise,
I love it. We might have to do a part 2. We really might.
By all means, as long as I got the free time, I'm more than happy to talk. I love it.
I love it. Well, thanks so much, Christian. I appreciate it.
Of course.